Hey guys, welcome back to etlqalabs. This is Hetu, and in this session we will look at very important data warehousing concept, that is OLAP and OLTP system. Okay, so quick agenda about this session. What we will learn in this session is we will try to understand the whole data warehousing system. I have drawn the little picture around this, and I will try to explain each and every component here, and then we will try to see little definition around OLTP, OLAP, and then finally we will look at the differences between OLTP and OLAP system. Okay guys, so let's try to understand this picture, because once you understand this picture, then entire data warehousing concept will be clear. Okay, so this picture is representing the end-to-end data warehousing architecture. Okay, so for example, uh, so far I have explained, I think in the previous video, that there is ETL process which happens between source and data is loaded into target, which is the data warehouse. So up to this part I have already explained before. What I have not explained is about this part. So which means that finally the data will be pulled out through the cube, through the BI reports basically, right? So that is the whole purpose of the data warehousing, right? So if somebody is asking what is the whole purpose of data warehousing, it is not that just that storing the data, right? Storing the historical data, multi-years data into data warehouse. It is not that purpose, right? So final purpose is to be useful. The data can be useful for any kind of business decision. I mean, based on your analysis, when you pull the data, you create reports. Based on that, you can obviously take certain business decision. Alright, sorry guys. So you can take certain decision, or you can use it for the data mining purpose. Okay. So that is the whole purpose of the data warehousing, guys. Okay. So now let's try to understand each and every component here, and then it will be more clear. Okay. So it's very important, and also one of the top important question that is important from the interview point of view is the interviewer may ask you, what do you mean by OLTP system and what do you mean by OLAP system, right? So that answer will be clarified here, okay, while we discuss here. So what is OLTP? OLTP, so you see the very first three, here are the three databases. So assume that this is Sybase, this is DB2, and this is Oracle, three databases. And okay, so let's do one thing. Let's try to understand. Okay, from I'm saying that, assume that there is a bank ABC. Okay, and the bank is having three different services that it is offering. One is the bank account, second one is the credit card service, and third one is the loan. Okay, so providing the loan to the customers, etc. Right? So this data, little databases, basically three databases, are storing the data for these three different businesses of the bank. Okay, and the bank is operated across multiple locations, multiple geography, etc. And then the data is stored into all these databases. Okay, so every day there will be transaction happening in the bank. For example, there will be debit, there will be credit, there will be online transfer, etc. Right? And then there will be loan processing, etc. Loan dispersal. All those things are happening in the bank on the daily basis. That database is this database, right? So this is also called the operational database, or this is also called the transactional databases, right? Because why they are called transactional? Because there will be transaction, real-time transaction happening in the bank, right? So for example, if I have a bank account in the bank, if I am withdrawing some money, then in the bank, in that particular database, the account database, there will be certain certain activity. If I am withdrawing the money, then there will be some update statement on those particular, against my account. There will be update statement in the amount column, right? Because if I am withdrawing, let's say 500, it should be subtracted that amount from my whole balance, right? So what will happen is there will be multiple insert, update or delete operation will be happening on those systems, right, wherever it is happening, right? For example, if credit card, if I am spending something, there will be some credit card balance, due balance, etc., right? Transaction will be shown in the database. Okay, but ultimately at the end of the day, this all the data that getting stored here is supposed to moved to the data warehouse. And what is the purpose of data warehouse? It is basically containing all the historical data. Okay. So every day this ETL process will run and it will pull the data from this, the recent data it will be pulled and it will load into data warehouse. Again, there will be new set of data that will be generated here in the OLTP system. OLTP is all the operational systems, guys. Okay, so which is basically banks day-to-day transaction wherever it is happening. Those are called the OLTP systems. Okay, and all the data again at the end of the day there will be batch running ETL batch which will be loading the data again in the data warehouse. So data warehouse keeps growing because it is actually containing all the historical data since how many years you want. Let's say you want to store the 10 years of data, then you have to that data warehouse will contain all those 10 years of information for each of the customer. All right. So that is how it is. Okay, so this is nothing but the ETL process. Now what will happen is, now for example, suppose that there is a there is a branch, a branch of the bank in remote area, and let's say the bank is. So what I will do is based on that branch, I would like to see that in the remote area or in village places if my bank is doing good job or not in terms of opening more accounts. I mean overall if I want to check it, right. So what I can do is I will pull the data for let's say 1 year and I will try to see that based I mean branch wise, branch wise data, let's say for that particular branch how much how many customers are there, how many new customers are added, or how much is the loan dispersal happen into those areas, right? And is it really making sense to operate that particular branch or not? If let's say are we able to meet our regular expenses and we are also making a profit as part of bank or not into that branch? If bank is not doing good into that particular branch or in that area because of competition or because of there are various other reasons, right? The bank might not do in that area because there is already old bank or commercial bank, whatever is there. Because of that, we are not getting the new customer, new businesses. In that case, what the management would like to do is management would like to analyze that whether that keeping that bank account in that area is worth or not. So they would like to take certain decisions. Okay. And for example, for certain location, if they want to see that how many customers are added in some other location, if they see that there is a growth and there is more loan applications are coming, they will probably expand that particular branch so that they can expand their business also, right? So all those kind of business centric decisions are taken based on the historical data, and that is nothing but which is getting stored on daily basis into data warehouse, and this data warehouse will contain all the historical data, and this is being used by the business for taking certain decisions, yeah, and also the data mining. So hope you are able to understand where is the OLTP system comes into picture and where is the OLAP. So OLAP is online application, online analytical processing. Okay, when I say analytical means analysis. Okay, for analysis processing we are using this OLAP cube. Yeah, so now if you look at this cube, so from data warehouse there is a cube here. Okay, and users are basically hitting this cube and getting the data based on various dimensions. So one of the dimension can be branch. Okay, other dimension can be the customer. All right, I mean it can be or it cannot be also. And other dimension could be the time, yeah, the time. I mean, they want to find out based on the branch and based on by also the time. Okay, so during that last year, during last 2 year, etc. So those are nothing but those are the different business dimensions, right? So based on those business dimensions only, they want to figure out this fact amount. Okay, so this is what the whole purpose of the data warehouse is, and every data that will be here in the data warehouse, will be here. It will be pulled out through the OLAP cube, and these cubes are basically you can slice and dice based on your requirement, based on your business decisions, whatever you want. If somebody want to aggregate the data based on branch wise, okay, they want to see that how much profit the bank has made based on the branch wise, okay, or maybe based on the city wise. All right, so I have 10 cities in India, and my bank is there in those 10 cities, multiple location. If I want to say, aggregate the profit based on that data, then I will obviously group the data based on the city, right? And that everything will be performed using this cube, because these cubes are basically pre-aggregated cube. They will not hit the query on the data warehouse on the real time. Those queries are already pre-compiled, pre-aggregated. We just, when we will run the report, it will basically pull from the cube. Yeah, so that's the whole purpose of having the cube here, right? Because we don't want to put the load on the data warehouse, because it will not be faster. It might take a lot of time, because it is containing huge amount of data, guys. Okay, data warehouse, because it is keeping the history for many years. Okay, that's the reason we are having the cube, and cube is a very good way to fetch the data that is needed, or for the analysis purpose or data mining purpose. Okay. Okay guys, so this is what I wanted to explain you. Okay, so this is the entire data warehousing process. So if somebody is asking, can you please help me understand what is the complete data warehousing architecture, you can simply draw this and you can explain them. Okay, where is the OLTP, where is the OLAP, and why it is needed. Okay, now let's look at the definition. Okay, so as we have discussed about OLTP first, let's go to OLTP first. Okay, what is OLTP? So as name suggests, it is online transactional processing. And what is the use of it? It is basically used for the data processing. Okay, because we are actually it is for the business process. Okay, so every day this processing will be happening. So it is basically more of a transaction in nature, right? Which is kind of let's say I given an example before, right? So these are more of a transactional based system, and for example, if as a customer I am doing some money transfer or some withdrawing some money, etc., those everything will be captured in the bank's database. And so these are the daily operations which are happening by any kind of business, not about bank. Okay, so if for example, if you are taking some warehouse, okay, so let's say the retail. So in retail, there will be a lot of transaction on the daily basis happening, right? Lot of sales is happening of different variety, different category and all. Everything will be stored into that OLTP databases, and at the end of the day, or whatever frequency they might have the end of day, they might have end of week, whatever frequency they have set up, they have agreed to set up in the ETL, they will run the ETL process, and that particular data will be loaded into data warehouse, right? So that's what the process is. So OLTP is basically nothing but these are the source systems from where the data is originated, okay, or where the data is captured. In the case of bank, these are the daily data, which are basically credit, debit, loan, or maybe some other kind of operation that is happening on the database, right? So these are basically each and every updates. These are not bulk, right? So these are the individual updates. Let's say as a customer, I am going to bank. I am a bank. I am a customer of the bank. If I want to withdraw some money, then only deduction of the update on that amount that is there in balance amount will happen to against my account only. Okay, it will not happen against anyone else account, right? So these queries are basically very I would say they are the individual updates. So most of the time what we are doing is in the bank, we are actually either putting some money, so insert, update or delete. Okay, this kind of operation are happening in the OLTP system. Hope you are agree, right? If you want to remove the bank account of some person, you want to go and say that okay, I want to close my account, then what will happen? There will be delete operation that will be performed by the executive who will be sitting in the bank, right? So that is nothing but the OLTP system, and OLTP systems are basically the daily transactional system. Okay, now we will see that what are the other feature of the OLTP system. Okay, So one thing is typically we actually perform the insert, update, and delete operation for a small amount of data in the database. As I said that why it is small amount of data, because it is mostly happening on the individual customer basis, right? So it is small, all right. Now OLTP has the real-time data like credit card, transaction processing, etc. I already told you, right? So some credit card spending, some depositing money or withdrawing money, etc. for that particular customer. So everything will be recorded into this. So this is called the OLTP system of the bank. Okay. Now OLAP, what is OLAP? So as I explain you, OLAP will come here, right? So this is the OLAP. What is the purpose of OLAP? Is basically to generate the report on the existing data which is there in the data warehouse, right? And it has also come to the flow down to the cube. We are basically running this query, BI reports, and we are actually trying to fetch the data, and on that data we want to put some analysis after that, and we want to take certain business decision. Okay, so what is OLAP? Online analytical processing. As I say, analytical means we want to do the analysis on that, right? Is a class of programming that allow user to see the data from various perspectives. As I said, dimensions, right? So as I explained you, if I want to see the data based on the time dimension, so I would like to see, let's say, how the bank is performing over the period of 1 year. So it can be based on the bank entity, right? It is not based on the city or something. Overall bank, how it is doing. So based on the time dimension, I can say that, okay, in the last 1 year, how my bank performs. So I have to aggregate all the profits, right? And then I have to show that, okay, all the profit for that 1 year, and I have to show, okay, this year it has done this year it has done this, something like that. I can show them, right? So that is the reason it is basically always working on the dimension. So if you want to get certain report, it should be based on dimension, either time dimension. In bank case, there could be multiple dimension. One dimension can be branch, one dimension can be city, one dimension can be what? I think one dimension can be time also, right? So based on city, based on time, based on other dimensions, right? So you can basically figure out the data, right? For how many years you want, right? So this is what the dimension is, and I think we can discuss more about dimension. So in data warehouse we have two concepts: fact and dimension. Fact data basically stores the numerical data, basically, for example, the transaction amount and all those kind of things. And dimensions are basically supporting that transaction, right? In what way they want to. So this is how this OLAP, this is what the OLAP is. And what kind of query we run? Basically, we run the select query because we want to process huge amount of data to generate the report, right? So it is basically mostly select query because we already have the data stored in data warehouse, and now we just want to uh, select the data from the data warehouse. There is no insertion, no deletion, nothing is happening. Okay, it is only happening in OLTP, insertion, deletion, and updation. Okay, here everything is already stored in the data warehouse. We just want to run the select query, and based on that we want to group by. You want to group the data and want to get some meaningful information for our analysis purpose or for our business decision capability. Okay. Now, what is that? How much data involved in OLTP? We have seen that we have very less amount of data involved because it can be individual basis, right? So, for example, withdrawal of money, it can be based on one customer. I mean, at least it is on the individual basis. Okay, you cannot update the amount for so many customers, right? If I am withdrawing 100 rupees, you can only withdraw. I mean, update my minus subtract 100 rupees from my account balance. You cannot do it for other customers. Similarly, if you see OLAP, since we are actually dealing with huge amount of data because that data is being used for analysis purpose, so we are actually using the huge amount of data. Let's say 5 years analysis if I want to do, then I have to run that query, right? So it will deal with huge amount of data. Even they say that many records are even all the records in the database for analytical purpose. Okay. So hope you are able to understand data OLTP and OLAP. Now guys, we will look at a little difference about it, right? So this is also one of the interview question that they might ask you, what is the difference then? Okay. So I have jotted down few points. So let's say the OLAP system stores the historical data and current data. Okay. So let's say yesterday data is also there. Let's say today I have run the ETL job. So it will have the data until yesterday, and today's data also will be there. So it is basically history data and current data means today's data also. Sorry guys. Okay. But OLTP system will have only current data. Okay. I mean, why it is? Because let's say as a customer, I have let's say 1,000 rupees in my bank account today. So what I will do is today I will go to bank and I will withdraw 500 rupees. Okay. So I cannot say that I have 1,000 rupees yesterday and today I have 500. I cannot have those two things in my in my customer database, right? I have to just say that I have 500 because I have withdrawn 500 rupees. So 1,000 minus 500. So what is the exact latest value? It is 500 only. So I should be able to see always the current and exact data which is there, right? Updated data in OLTP system, okay? Because they are actually dealing with the actual transaction. However, OLAP will have that 1,000 rupees also because yesterday it has loaded the data and yesterday the balance was 1,000 rupees, and today when it has loaded it has 500 rupees. So there will be two rows created. It will be based on yesterday. Yesterday will have the 1,000 and today will have 500. So it will have historical and current data both. However, OLTP will have only relevant current data available. Okay. It will be always updated. Okay. Now, this is subject oriented, guys. Okay. Why it is subject oriented? Because we want to do certain kind of analysis, right? So if I want to so why it is subject oriented? Again, I will say why subject. Subject is basically it is related to, let's say, subject. In that subject I have say loan. Loan is one of the subject area, right? And when I say debit card, that is another area. Credit card, third area, right? So these databases are always subject oriented. Okay. We have all this subject oriented because everything that we are getting is basically subject oriented. So all this data which is coming, and it is always representing some business decision, business subject area. However, OLTP system, it is basically it's oriented, application oriented. Here why subject? Because we want to get some analysis, some insight about it. That's why it is subject. Here it has nothing to do with analysis. It is only just the production system which is running, right? So application, it is completely application oriented and used for business task only. Okay. So this is second difference. Third one is large amount of data. It is typically terabyte and petabyte because OLAP is having all the data for, let's say, in the data warehouse, that is 10 years, 20 years, whatever agreement, right? So everything is stored here, and it is usually in terabyte and petabyte. Okay, here only data is will be in MB or GB because it is actually containing a single day data, right? So yesterday the whole data will be changed if there is any insert update happening or any kind of business transaction is happening. So the whole for that particular day, that is the relevant record. So that only bank will keep it. Okay. Hope you are able to understand. So that's why the data is only in MB or GB. Okay. It is not containing any historical. It will contain only current data. Okay. Today's data as update data. Now, fourth difference is OLAP uses the data warehouse. Yes, that I told you, right? Because OLAP is basically fetching the data from the data warehouse. OLTP uses the traditional RDBMS. Okay, that's why I said OLTP. These are the sources, right? So these are the traditional databases, and this is what the OLTP systems are. Okay. So that's why it is OLTP. Now, other difference is OLAP database does not get frequently modified because we are not actually running any update, insert or delete statement here. It is only query, right, in the data warehouse. So that's why there is no not frequent modification, etc. happening on this. Here the database maintains all data integrity constraint, okay, and there is lot of update, insert, and delete operation happening on the OLTP system because this is the business or the production system. Now the last one is the response time in second to minute. Why? Because it is actually pulling. When you run the SQL query to get some meaningful data based on certain dimension, it will take a lot of time, guys. Sometimes it takes in hours also because based on the volume of data you want to fetch for your decision purpose, right? So it might fetch hell lot of amount of data, and that will take a lot of time. Okay. Sorry, guys. Yeah. So now the last bit is about the OLTP is it is response time in millisecond. Why? Because actually it is for the individual records, right? So for example, I am a customer. Okay, I go to bank and I withdraw some money. What the bank will do? Just do subtraction and they will update that value. Okay, that what you say balance amount in the database, right? So it will happen in millisecond because it's just update. Okay, but here it will take time because we are generating the report and we are actually running the SQL query here. So this is what the typically difference between OLTP and OLAP system, guys. And I hope you are able to understand. Okay. And if you still have any doubt or any question on the OLTP and OLAP, please feel free to put in comments. I will be able to answer you, and I'm more than happy to resolve any query or questions that you might have. And thank you, guys. Thank you for watching. And until then, happy learning. God bless you. And we'll see you soon with the next video. Bye. Thank you.